Welcome back to our channel where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. We are excited to share the following news: William's final warning, Wales's sever ties with Harry and Meghan and push for new royal laws. The surprise video message from the Prince and Princess of Wales in November 2025 marks a major escalation in a long-running family feud that has become increasingly public and has constitutional, political, and diplomatic consequences. A short recording was leaked out of the blue in which the heir to the throne and his partner made it apparent that they were breaking up with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and wanted to take official legal steps to protect the integrity of the monarchy as an institution. The statement brought previously unimportant concerns to the forefront of constitutional and political discussion by specifically mentioning an alleged connection to Epstein about the Duchess of Sussex. This essay looks at the video and its immediate effects, puts it in the context of the larger timeline of the conflict between the Waleses and the Sussexes, looks at how King Charles III's health affected the timing and tone of the intervention, looks at the legal and constitutional consequences of the language used, and thinks about possible future directions for the institution and the main people involved. The video was put on the official YouTube channel of the Prince and Princess of Wales around 07:00 GMT on a dreary November morning. The film, which was made in a secret study at Adelaide Cottage, shows Prince William speaking to the camera in a calm and controlled way. The Princess of Wales sat behind him and stroked his arm on purpose to demonstrate that she was with him. In less than 2 minutes, the Prince of Wales said, "Meghan and Harry are estranged from me and Catherine," and added, "The King has given us full authority and we will act quickly in Parliament." He said that the Sussexes' actions were bad for the Crown, specifically mentioning Meghan's association with Epstein as a reason why she should face repercussions and account for the lies she used to infiltrate this family. The segment ended suddenly with the royal crest, leaving a confused global audience to figure out a message that mixed personal criticism with institutional determination and to guess what parliamentary or statutory actions might be taken. Responses from the public and the media were quick and quite divided. The hashtag #RoyalUltimatum quickly became popular on X, now Twitter, throughout the globe, and had millions of postings by midday. Other hashtags like Harry and Meghan out and Protect the Crown challenged Stand with Sussex, showing how split the public discourse was. Major broadcasters changed their schedules. The BBC stopped airing breakfast news to make room for special reports, and international networks like CNN and major European channels played the clip over and over again as royal correspondents, constitutional experts, and political analysts tried to make sense of an unusual royal intervention. Commentators regarded the comment as a public scolding, a clear use of delegated authority by a potential ruler, and a purposeful effort to turn what was formerly seen as a private family disagreement into issues of public policy and accountability in the legislature. The mix of personal assaults and institutional rhetoric changed the limits of the struggle and made people more interested in finding out how the monarchy's internal administration relates to public law and representative institutions. The film should be seen in light of a decade of deteriorating relations, which have been publicly documented via several significant disclosures. The split became even more clear when Prince Harry's 2023 book, Spare, came out. It featured intimate stories of family problems, accounts of physical and verbal fights with Prince William, and charges of systematic racism. Before there were flashpoints like the Sussexes' 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey and their 2022 Netflix docuseries that caused extended public discussions and royal disquiet. The Wales' involvement in November 2025 marks a strategic shift. By specifically mentioning parliamentary action, it aims to turn personal complaints into formal institutional responses and to use state mechanisms to protect the monarchy's reputation and operational integrity. The brothers' fight started before Meghan Markle joined the family. William and Harry, who were born 22 months apart, were often seen as a single unit in the modern royal story. Their public identities were shaped by the trauma they experienced as children and the public duties they shared. Family sources and royal biographers say that the brothers started to drift apart early on because of their different roles in the royal family. William's preparation for becoming king meant that he had to focus more on ceremonial and constitutional duties, while Harry's path, which was shaped by his military service and his desire to find his own public identity, led to different professional and charitable goals. Harry's founding of the Invictus Games in 2014 raised his public visibility and made some people even more worried that the brothers were living in different political and personal worlds. At first, Harry and Meghan's marriage in 2018 seemed to be a sign of modernization and generational renewal. However, later reports showed that it also brought out underlying tensions. For example, Harry's memoir describes a warning conversation in which William allegedly warned against Meghan's Hollywood intensity, a comment that Harry took as a sign that his family was not supporting him enough. The Sussexes' decision to step down from important royal duties in 2020, colloquially known as Megxit, was a major turning point. The couple's later public statements made the divide much worse. There were accusations in the 2021 Oprah interview that were seen as especially damaging, like an unnamed family member's supposed concerns about the skin tone of the Sussexes' unborn child, Archie. William's short public denial, "We are very much not a racist family," hid deep personal pain among senior royals. The Netflix show from 2022 told a narrative about institutional limits, media hostility, and mental health issues. Buckingham Palace saw it as another public airing of private grievances. Spare made things worse by sharing private recollections and making shocking claims which royal staff considered a major breach of trust, and in some stories motivated by money. All of these things that the Sussexes did changed how people felt about the monarchy and made them question whether the institution could handle family resistance. Catherine, Princess of Wales, reportedly attempted mediation during these disputes. Nonetheless, further disclosures intensified the division. After King Charles's cancer diagnosis was made public in 2024, the brothers' final encounter in person was described as brief and tense. Harry's visit to the hospital to see his father was limited and full of emotions. After the November 2025 video, online discussions and polls showed that people were leaning toward the Waleses. Commentators summed up the change with phrases like, "William's not angry anymore, he is done," and surveys showed that a large part of the British public supported the Prince of Wales, seeing the Sussexes' ongoing revelations as bad for the Crown's reputation. These trends show how important perceived intentions and propriety are in shaping how people judge the actions of royals. It is necessary to know about King Charles III's declining health in order to understand when and why the Waleses acted. Since he became king in September 2022, Charles has pushed for a planned program of reform that would improve the monarchy's public operations and make it clear what senior members are responsible for. His cancer diagnosis in February 2024 and the way the public dealt with his sickness shifted the national attention to his ability to rule and the institution's ability to be strong during a time when it might have been weak. By November 2025, the 77-year-old king's public appearances were limited. During a regular hospital visit in September, he said, "I am still here struggling on," which some people thought was both stoic and a sign of stress. Medical experts said his health was properly managed, but private reports from the royal family show that the sickness has taken a toll on his body and mind over time, and the continuous public-family conflict has made things worse. People thought that the king's emotional problems were caused by negative comments from the Sussexes. Harry's portrayal of Queen Camilla as a dangerous villain on TV and his many criticisms of the family seem to have brought back painful memories for Charles about the unresolved legacy of Princess Diana and the tumultuous changes that took place in the monarchy during the 1990s. Charles gave more responsibilities to his successor, and as his health became worse and public debates arose, it was clear that the center of royal authority was shifting. Later, palace sources confirmed that the king approved the November 2025 film. By giving William total authority, Charles implicitly gave his successor the duty to act decisively to safeguard the crown's reputation. Several counselors thought this delegation was necessary and practical. One was quoted as stating, "The king's health cannot take much more treachery." This wording got a lot of people to feel sorry for the king and show their support both in person and on social media with hashtags like Barmanx Pray for the King. However, it also raised questions about whether it was right to give the successor such politically and legally sensitive duties. The legal and constitutional consequences of the video's phrasing must be examined carefully. William's reference to gaining full authority pertains to the legal and customary frameworks governing the transfer of royal responsibilities, especially concerning councillors of state and the legislative stipulations for regency in cases of declared formal incapacity. The rules for councillors of state let the king give some duties to a small number of senior royals. Regency laws, on the other hand, let the monarch formally give up their authority in certain situations. The prince's statement that he and the princess would move fast in Parliament suggests that they want to use legislative or parliamentary means, possibly both statutory clarification and administrative actions, to fix any problems with the system. After the statement, there were informal talks in Westminster about different options for Parliament. These included a review of security measures for members of the royal family, a clearer law about the status and rights of non-working royals, and laws to control the granting and use of royal titles. In theory, more serious possibilities included laws that may restrict access to particular privileges or set up rules for how to take away titles and patronages. Each of these actions raises complicated constitutional questions. The Crown's traditional powers include giving and taking away titles and honors, which are normally done on the advice of ministers and occasionally made official by letters patent. Still, Parliament has the authority to make laws and might set restrictions on the availability of titles or financial help or create legal processes for limiting the use of specific styles and privileges. Precedent is limited. In recent years, institutions have settled disputes by negotiated voluntary agreements, such as the surrender of official duties and the reinstatement of patronages, rather than through express legal deprivation. The handling of Prince Andrew's withdrawal from public duties in 2022-2023, which included the withdrawal of his patronages and military ties, with the public emphasis on voluntary relinquishment, rather than sudden statutory removal, exemplifies the modern strategy for negotiated realignment. If Parliament were to take a more active role, it would mean a fundamental change in the way the Crown and representative institutions work together. The most controversial part of the Wales's speech was when they brought up Meghan's relationship to Epstein. This added fuel to an already heated official issue. The phrase hinted at rumors that had been going around since 2021 and were only loosely connected to civil court filings against Jeffrey Epstein, where third-party procedural attempts tried to serve process in places linked to famous people. There has never been any strong public proof that Meghan Markle and Epstein were connected. The court papers and stories did not establish such a connection. Prince William turned a small, mostly unverified claim into the center of institutional risk by adding the phrase to an official royal statement. This made it more important for Parliament and the law to treat the claim as a matter of reputational importance rather than just speculation. The rhetorical decision to publicly present a particular scandalous accusation as a justification for parliamentary intervention carries inherent risks. It invites evidential examination, raises issues of libel and privacy, and may expose the institution to further reputational harm if the allegations do not withstand legal or factual scrutiny. Responses from across the world to the accusations and the ultimatum were quick and varied. In Montecito, representatives of the Sussexes gave a short, no comment. The Archewell Foundation's website encountered technical problems because of increased traffic, and supporters reportedly sent more money and other kinds of help right after that. In the UK, media coverage showed how divided the country was. Tabloid front pages like The Sun's used strong headlines like, Crown strikes back. While broadsheet analyses in papers like The Guardian and the Financial Times criticized what they called an authoritarian tone in an ultimatum that mixed family issues with statecraft. U.S. media put the event in a transatlantic context. Some outlets focused on Meghan's American identity and suggested that differences in how celebrities are treated and privacy is protected in different cultures were at the heart of the conflict. Others saw the intervention as a uniquely British constitutional crisis over the limits of royal privilege. Countries in the Commonwealth watched closely. Officials and influential people in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand voiced concerns about how their constitutional ties may be affected, but they also knew that domestic politics would affect any rapid response. A lot of people thought that the Princess of Wales's attendance at the movie was a planned show of support. People who know Catherine indicated that she had a big impact on the statement's emphasis on institutional remedies rather than simply personal allegations. She was supposed to be recovering from her own cancer treatment. Her public campaign for early childhood development and family support is a stark contrast to the Sussexes' contentious discoveries, and it has helped the Waleses build an image of stability and responsibility that they appear keen to keep up. The picture is important to William's larger political goal of changing the way people think about the monarchy as a modern moral institution that serves the public and takes care of future generations. The Waleses' use of the word falsehoods and their requests for accountability were direct responses to claims made in the Sussexes' public comments and in Spare that were in question. Prince Harry claimed in a 2023 podcast that certain parts of his book had been inflated for the sake of the story. This made some who thought that such admissions showed an intentional distortion that hurt the monarchy's legitimacy even more angry. From the perspective of the Wales camp, the Sussexes had gone from being exiled relatives to enemies of the institution. Their disclosures were now seen to be bad for the Crown's mystique and public trust. This framing used a rhetoric of institutional preservation, portraying the public defense of the monarchy as a supreme duty necessitating legislative solutions. From the Sussex perspective, the sequence of disclosures demonstrates a certain narrative rationale. Supporters say that Harry and Meghan's measures were necessary to protect themselves from intrusive media methods, a hostile institutional atmosphere, and the palace's lack of support. Critics, on the other hand, think that their media strategy is a planned campaign that puts personal stories and economic potential ahead of family privacy and the Constitution. The couple's interactions with the media followed a clear pattern. The 2019 ITV documentary told the story of their personal problems and public disagreements. The 2020 announcement of their desire for financial independence reportedly shocked senior royals, with William allegedly learning about it via text. The 2021 Oprah interview caused a lot of damage to the palace's reputation, and the 2022 Netflix series, which reached tens of millions of homes during its premiere, combined personal archival content with a criticism of royal institutions and media practices, while also causing controversy over its accuracy. Spare, which came out in January 2023, was the best example of how they had been revealing things to the public. It sold millions of copies in its first week and included various intimate pictures of family members, which made it more culturally important and made those within the palace even more unhappy. By 2025, speculations about possible sequels and Harry's continuous public work, including podcasting, humanitarian work, and business projects, kept the couple's platform very important across the globe, even if they were not as famous in the UK anymore. Public opinion polls from mid-2025 showed that Harry and Meghan were less popular in the UK than the Waleses. Harry's approval ratings were in the mid-30s, while Meghan's were typically lower. Court challenges made these political situations worse. For example, Harry's loss in 2024 in his case against the Home Office over taxpayer-funded security for UK trips showed how uncertain the position of a royal who has given up top job responsibilities but is still holding family titles and certain honors is. Archewell's portfolio combined charitable goals with business ventures in the media. The foundation's efforts to improve mental health and make the internet safer received approximately equal amounts of praise and criticism. Some of the enthusiasm was dampened by delays in production, unclear strategic direction, and the mixing of charitable goals with entertainment projects. Harry's story and activity were still important across the world, particularly in the U.S., where many saw him as a defier of institutional norms, which fit in with national conversations about celebrity and change. The Wales's ultimatum forced the Sussexes to rethink their worldwide platform. William and Catherine called their media leaks a stain on the Crown's image in order to restrict the operational independence of their former kin. Prince William's engagement in the fight marks a bigger change from being the heir to being the main protector of the monarchy's public image. At 43, he is becoming more and more known as the main protector of institutional continuity, and as a parent who wants to keep his children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, safe from the attacks that hurt the last generation. William's public undertakings, including the Earthshot Prize and homelessness programs tied to the Duchy of Cornwall, are part of a plan to modernize and legitimize the monarchy's position in public life. Catherine's public work to help families and young children grow up healthy is quite different from the Sussexes' problematic news, which has helped her build a public image of stability and obligation. After her cancer treatment, it is said that she took on a more active role in shaping how institutions respond. People who know say that the Waleses want to utilize structural changes to make the roles and duties of working and non-working royals more apparent. The Sussexes' previous expulsion from Frogmore Cottage was a sign of the ongoing cuts. Insiders say that the next phase will focus on systematic title evaluations, stricter role definitions, better regulation of royal styles in business, and procedural changes meant to protect the crown from occasional reputational damage. Policy instruments may include clear legal rules about how to finance security written definitions of senior working royal status that come with benefits exclusive rights to use the word royal in business trademarks and the creation of an internal code of conduct with penalties for breaking it that affect constitutional duties. The Wales side says that these acts are more about preventing problems than punishing them. They are seen as vigilance to make sure the monarchy stays in power, not as personal revenge. The ultimatum from November 2025 is likely to set off events that will change the structure and public trust in the House of Windsor. It seemed like Parliament was going to act soon. By early winter, hearings on royal security privileges and the legal legitimacy of titles were expected to take place thanks to the Prince of Wales's direct call for Parliament to meet. People will disagree with these talks. Some members of Parliament, especially those from backbench positions and different political parties, may support laws that include formal title revocations, better legal advice on royal duties, and rules for being open about financial dealings and security measures. Some people may want to hold back, worried that harsh laws would make the monarchy more political and make political tensions worse. The devolved legislatures and administrations of Commonwealth countries, each with its own constitutional relationship to the Crown, will make it harder to come up with a unified plan for institutional transformation across the monarch's various authorities. The Sussexes have to make strategic choices that come with a lot of trade-offs. Continued public exposure or legal fights may bolster their worldwide platform and provide more economic and philanthropic possibilities. Nevertheless, it would undoubtedly exacerbate the institutional crisis and diminish prospects for reconciliation. If they do not speak out against the government, it may be regarded as giving up, which could make it much harder for them to do so. There are legal options such as suing for libel, privacy, or data protection. However, suing the British government for these things is complicated because of jurisdiction and public relations issues. The couple's future steps will depend on whether they want to confront each other, go to court, or back down tactically. Polls show that there are differences in public opinion across generations and regions that will affect the future of the monarchy. Younger Britons are more receptive to Republican ideas and less sure about the monarchy's present importance. A YouGov survey from mid-2025 showed that most people under 35 preferred Republican alternatives or strong limits on royal power. Polling throughout the Commonwealth shows that people are becoming less sure of the monarchy's importance in former dominions. This is likely due to changes in generations and the fact that family disputes are still going on. In contrast, the Wales's approval ratings went up right away after the ultimatum. In several polls, their combined approval reached or exceeded 75%. The planned international tour in 2026 was seen as a chance to change the monarchy's image around the world and show off a stabilizing, modernizing side of the institution. It is still not apparent what the ultimate results of this fight will be. The Wales's increased institutional assertiveness might lead to a more streamlined, centralized monarchy that is better protected against occasional leaks, but more openly split along family lines. This adjustment may temporarily stabilize the Crown's public operations, but it would not fundamentally resolve the core concerns of openness, accountability, and the distinction between private life and public duty. On the other hand, the public separation of the main family branches might speed up the process of delegitimization among important demographic groups, especially if further information comes to light or legal disputes continue to get attention, and if legislative measures are seen as politically motivated or punitive. King Charles, who is keeping an eye on things from his Balmoral estate and other places, is said to want peace throughout his life. However, the Prince of Wales has said that protecting the crown may now need battle instead of peace. In conclusion, the Prince and Princess of Wales's video from November 2025 marks a turning point that changes a private family fight into a matter of constitutional and legislative importance. It combines individual complaints with institutional protectionism, brings to light charges that were previously ignored, and tries to get lawmakers and administrators to take action to defend the monarchy's reputation. The intervention has made public opinion even more divided, sped up conversations inside institutions about responsibility and role definition, and put King Charles's health and delegated authority at the center of a difficult time of transition. The effectiveness of the measures suggested by the Waleses in reinstating public trust and institutional coherence, or conversely in exposing and exacerbating the monarchy's weaknesses, remains ambiguous and will significantly impact the future organization, legitimacy, and public function of the House of Windsor. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts and say goodbye for now.